Let's take a look at this problem. We got f of x is equal to 3 over 1 minus x. And we got g of x is equal to 4x over x squared plus 1. And part A. We want to find the composition of g and f of 0. So I'm going to rewrite that as g of f of 0. Now we're first going to work with our inner. So we're going to find f of 0. And then, after we find that, we'll handle the outer. So we got f of 0. So I'm going to my f of x, and everywhere there's an x, I'll put in a 0. So I got 3 over 1 minus 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. 3 divided by 1 is 3. So now we want to focus on the outer. We now know what f of 0 is equal to. So we'll replace the f of 0 here with 3. So that becomes g of 3. So we're going to go to our g of x, and everywhere we have an x, we'll put in a 3. So I got 4 times 3 over 3 squared plus 1. 4 times 3 is 12. 3 squared is 9 plus 1. That gives us 12 over 10. And top and bottom are both divisible by 2, so that gives us 6/5. Now B. We'll find the composition of f of g, or composition of f and g of -1. So we're going to find f of g of -1. We're first going to focus on the inner. So we'll find g of -1. Well, we'll go to our g of x, and everywhere we have an x, we'll put in -1. So I got 4 times -1 over -1 squared plus 1. 4 times -1 is -4. -1 squared is 1 plus 1 is 2. So that ends up giving us -2. And that's g of -1. That seems, let me double check myself. That's right. So then we'll focus on the outer. We now know g of -1 is equal to -2, so we'll replace the g of -1 here with -2. So we're going to have f of -2. So I'll go to my f of x, and everywhere I have an x, I'll put in parentheses. So I got 3 over 1 minus parentheses, and we're plugging in -2. Negative becomes positive, so we got 1 plus 2. So we got 3 over 3, or your answer is 1. I think I'm very quickly going to run out of space, so let me erase some of this, and then we'll look at the next part. Okay, our third part. Composition of f and f of 2. So we'll rewrite that as f of 2. Now we're focused on the inner part first, the f of 2. So we're going to find f of 2. We're going to replace the x in f of x with 2. So we got 3 over 1 minus 2. 1 minus 2 is negative 1, which gives us negative 3. And that's what f of 2 is equal to. So our second part, we're going to focus on the outer now. We now know what f of 2 is equal to, so we're going to replace the f of 2 right here with negative 3. So this becomes f of negative 3. So we'll go to our f of x, and everywhere we have an x, we'll put a negative 3. So I got 3 over 1 minus negative 3. Negative negative becomes positive, so we got 1 plus 3, or 3/4. And that's our answer. Now our fourth part. Let's see. Composition of g and f of negative 3. So we're going to rewrite that as g of f of negative 3. Now we'll focus on the inner first. The f of negative 3. We'll plug that into f of x, so I'm going to have 3 over 1 minus negative 3. Negative negative becomes positive, so that becomes 1 plus 3, or 3/4. And we're then going to focus on the outer. We know that f of negative 3 is equal to 3/4, so we're going to replace the f of negative 3 right here with 3/4. So that becomes g of 3/4. So go to our g of x, and everywhere we have an x, we'll put in 3/4. So we've got 4 times 3/4 over 3/4 squared plus 1. Now the 4's cancel here. And I got 3 over 3/4 squared. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. Plus 1. Mixed number rule. I could combine these, but now that I think about it, this is a complex fraction inside of a fraction. And how you get rid of a complex fraction is you multiply everything by the LCM of all your inner denominators. My inner denominator here would be 6, so I'm going to multiply everything by 6. I'll multiply the 3 up on top by 6, or 16, sorry. And I'll multiply the 9 over 16 by 16, and I'll multiply the 1 by 16. 16 times 3 is 48. Here these 16's cancel, and I got 9 plus 16 times 1 is 16, which gives us 48 over 25. Let me double check that. 48, 9 plus 16, 25. Yeah, 48 over 25. Now let me erase these so I can have room to do the last two parts. E, we want to find the composition of f of g of, or f and g of 1/2. So we're going to rewrite that as f of g of 1/2. We'll first focus on the inner, g of 1/2. So we're going to plug 1/2 in for the x, for g of x. So I'm going to put 4 times 1/2 over 1/2 squared plus 1. 4 times 1/2 is 4 over 2, or 2. 1/2 squared is 1/4. 1/2 times 1/2, then plus 1. Now this is again a complex fraction inside of a fraction. So you multiply everything by the LCM of all your inner denominators. My only inner denominator is 4, so I'll multiply everything by 4. Got 2 times 4, 4 times 1/4 plus 4 times 1. So that gives us 2 times 4 is 8. Those 4's cancel, and I got 1 plus 4 times 1 is 4, which gives us 8/5. So g of 1/2 is equal to 8/5. Now second, we're going to focus on the outer. We now know what g of 1/2 is equal to. So we're going to replace the g of 1/2 up here with 8/5. So this becomes f of 8/5. So I'm going to go to my f of x, and I'm going to plug 8/5 in for the x. So I got 3 over 1 minus 8/5. This is again a complex fraction. I'll multiply everything by the LCM of all our inner denominators, which is 5. So I take 3 times 5, 5 times 1 minus 5 times 8/5. 3 times 5 is 15, 5 times 1 is 5, minus, those 5's cancel, and I got 8. 15 minus 8 is -3, and 15 divided by -3 is -5. Assuming no basic math error anywhere. F. We'll find the composition of f and f of -2. So we're going to rewrite this as f of -2. Now we're going to work on the inner first. So focus on this. We want to find f of -2. We'll go to our f of x and replace the x with -2. So I got 3, 1 minus -2. Negative negative becomes positive, so that's 1 plus 2, which is 3, which gives us 1. So f of -2 is equal to 1. Then we're going to focus on the outer. We now know what f of -2 is equal to. It's equal to 1. So I'm going to replace the f of -2 right here with 1. So we're going to be finding f of 1. That's interesting. You plug 1 in for the x, and you get 3 over 1 minus 1. And 1 minus 1 is 0, so this is undefined. And that's our problem.